I need to find that clip.
What
So every time that you say it, the little girl saying, "Press the button, press the button."
I don't know what that is.
Like from a Jackie Chan movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
I love Jackie Chan movies. Like, his stuff is so good. Hey, everybody. They can see us now.
What is it?
So I'm looking at chat, and I see people seem to be confused. So I want to make sure that I make, like, if you look at the title for the video, it says John Justice Escapists interview. So he's not actually on the show today. We're talking about that interview, which is why he's in the thumbnail, but he's not on the show today. I just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody.
Yeah, he's only on the show in spirits. It's the spirit of good old Saint John Justice, bringing us good tidings and wonderful cloud experiences under the tree.
Yeah, but I will say, you know, in the title it doesn't say that he's on the show. So there you go. All right, Lloyd is all dressed up in his Christmas gear to spread Christmas cheer.
I'm wearing a Winnipeg Jets Santa hat.
I like that symbol. I don't know anything about the Winnipeg Jets, so I think that's a cool logo, though.
It's based on the Canadian Air Force. They had the symbol with the circle with the Canadian flag in it. Now they have at the top of the symbol, there's a cutaway because it's like a compass, because the company that owns it is called True North. So that's kind of where it is. And then they have a plane over top of the maple leaf. So it's very much a Winnipeg was a big part of the Air Force for Canada. Throughout all the wars, we had some major air bases. We were like a refueling stop because we're right like center in this province, in this continent. Actually, we're right in the middle of the continent. So there's a long line of Air Force stuff happening in Winnipeg and Manitoba. So that's what the callback for this logo was.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. Killajan in chat says it's good to bring that up at the start. Still remember the giveaway incident. Yeah. I remember I was talking about the fact that Stadia was giving away stuff, and everybody's like, "When's the giveaway?" And I was like, "Oh, geez." I promise I will never. What's that?
I said reading comprehension, folks.
Well, that one was kind of my fault. I think I said Stadia's doing a giveaway. Yeah, reading comprehension, folks. Anyway, I don't know. Let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, people are asking for you to tell a kitty story, if you have one.
Yeah, we have a Tank. He turned 2, so he's now 2 years old, approximately. Because when you get a cat from the shelter, they can only the vets looking at the cat can only estimate the age of the animal. So it's around 2 years old. So his birthday was Saturday. That's the date that we chose based on the knowledge that we had. So we're all being happy. We're all giving him lots of treats and loving and stuff. He's developed a habit of being violently insistent that he wants to knead on my wife's belly, and if he doesn't get it, he gets angry. So it's like, okay, this is a not good personality change. So we're trying to adjust that out of our cat, because he's a big boy, and he gets angry when he doesn't get his way, which is pretty funny. Angry for a cat is like so he'll look at Kara and do that, and she's like, yeah, no, not happening anymore. You had your chance, you got angry. The behavior, it has he's kind of attacked the kids a couple times, like not violently, but he's like swatted them in the face when they come in for like a snuggle or something. So when he's not happy, he's definitely not happy. So that's the Stadiacast update. We're trying to train out a new behavior of our 2-year-old huge cat. I mean, he's like 3.5 feet long from paw to paw when he stretches out on the floor. It's insane. Insane.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that we need to get started on the show. So I'm going to hit a button, and we're gonna talk about video games a little bit. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stadiacast. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Ho ho ho! It's almost that time of year, man. I'm all dressed up in my Santa hat and my Santa sweater. Actually, it's a Frothy the Snowman sweater. Trying to get deep into the holiday spirit because Christmas is super soon, and the excitement is ramping up here in the house.
I had a Christmas tree behind me to the left a bit ago, and I was so happy with the way it looked when I was doing my videos and stuff. And then, like, I came upstairs yesterday, and the lights don't work suddenly. And I don't know. It's probably one of those things where I got to get a bunch of those lights and plug them in to see which one's the bad one. But I don't know if I can be bothered with 5 days left until Christmas. So I guess it's sitting over there on the floor instead of on the desk, but that's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say I did get an early Christmas present from Google that I opened. They sent me an amazing gift, which I did open, and that is the Stadia Premier Edition. You may also have been on their not naughty list if you pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077 in time and you got a nice little code and were able to place your order. But yeah, I finally got my Premier Edition bonus for buying Cyberpunk 2077. I'm lousy with controllers now. They are everywhere. They're coming out of every surface, which is amazing because we're going to do some 4-player Cake Bash and stuff this holiday. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I also got mine. I can't reach it right now. It's not. I haven't opened it yet because I have 2 controllers up here. My wife received, because we have YouTube Premium, so she received a free Premier Edition. My son has a controller because he has a Premier Edition that we bought back when Stadia first came out. So we are also lousy with controllers around here. Of course, I still don't have the Wasabi controller. I would like to buy the Wasabi controller, but I don't need the Wasabi controller, so I'm not. But don't be a jerk. For those
I have
of
all
you
4
who
colors.
For those of you who are just listening to the show, we do record this Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. and you could just head on over to nerdnest.tv and you would have just seen Lloyd holding up his Wasabi controller like the jerk that he is. Yes, and he's kind of he's Vanna Whiting it right now.
I'm very, 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 very skillfully Vanna Whiting this controller. I've been practicing. Yeah,
is she
I have
still
one
around?
of every color. I think so.
I was just wondering if any young people are like, who the hell's Vanna White?
Yeah, I think she's still there. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't watched cable TV in forever, even though we do pay for it. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I have one of each controller color, including my Founders Edition, which unfortunately isn't working. But I hope for a game like a couple of the buttons don't work and one of the triggers doesn't work. So I got to figure out what controls Cake Bash has and whether I can use that controller temporarily to get on, or if I need to actually go and purchase another Stadia controller so we can do 4-player stuff. So we'll have to check that out.
There you go. And Charles Aranda saying she's still on Wheel of Fortune. All right. We mentioned the YouTube channel again, nerdnest.tv. If you haven't already joined us over there, head on over there for all kinds of video game content. It's the place you want to go for all the ways that you want to play. If you want to directly support the show and you're here with us live, you can use that super chat feature. If you are not here with us live and you want to support the show, we have the applaud button down below and the join button where you can join and get early access to some videos as well as other stuff that comes with becoming a member here on the Nerd Nest. Lloyd, what have you been playing, man?
Well, I've been spending a lot of time in Night City, really loving Cyberpunk 2077. It's been kind of amazing reading so much about how broken the game is and how terrible the game is, and CD Projekt Red is evil, and it's almost like what is it, Milkshake Duck or whatever, like that little meme where it's not directly related. That was a thing where anyway, we won't get into it because it's not really appropriate.
Memes. I'm an old guy.
Okay, but it reminds me a little like that, like someone that you love and you're supporting for years and years does something wrong, and then all the hate comes out for it. I don't have any issues at all with Cyberpunk. I'm playing on Stadia. There's a few bugs here and a few bugs there, but there aren't a few bugs everywhere because I'm able to play through. A buddy of mine that's playing his Xbox version on his Series X recorded a video and sent it to me of just the insane bugs that he's going through, like walking through Night City, and then all of a sudden, like pedestrians explode into random polygons, so they look like this like crazy evil beast, and then they come back and they keep walking. There was another one where someone was smoking, and every time they brought the cigarette up to their mouth, it would stay there, and then they'd move their hand down and there'd be no cigarette in their hand, and then it would reappear in their hand, and then they'd go through the animation, bring it back up and back down, bring it back up and back down, and then after like 45 seconds of watching them, there's like just this big ball of randomly moving cigarettes that is just right above their face. Like there's just so many weird bugs in that game. I haven't experienced anything on Stadia, man. It's been beautiful. Beautiful.
I'm still very, very early on in the game, and don't worry, anybody who's listening or watching this, we're not going to do any kind of spoilers at all.
No.
But the story recently in my playthrough just took a very interesting turn, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm in. That's the thing about this game that I feel is so amazing, is the way that they are telling the story, the voice acting, everything about the presentation is absolutely top notch. And I definitely am not here to, throw shade at the other consoles. I do not appreciate Schadenfreude, where people are enjoying the suffering of others, where like you bought a game and it doesn't run very well and it's not a good experience. But you know what? For everybody who did buy it on other platforms, if it's not a good experience, take advantage of that return policy and pick it up on Stadia. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's really, really good, and I'm having an absolute blast with it. My wife was watching me play, and like I was just talking to her before we started the show, and I was like, "Oh, all of this stuff is because she's like, I'm never gonna play it. I'll catch bits and pieces when you're playing, but I'm never going to play it. It's just not her kind of game." But she does find the story very compelling, and so I was like, oh man, Cyberpunk just took this really interesting turn. And she goes, well, when I was watching you play it, I thought it was really cool myself. Then I asked her, do you want me to tell you? And she goes, yeah, go ahead. And I told her what was happening. She's like, well, that's really friggin' cool. The game is awesome. It runs like a dream on Stadia. And this is like the perfect example for Stadia to say, it's not running so well on these other platforms, but for a cost of the game, you just buy the game and you can play it, and it runs really, really well. It's in my opinion the best place to play the game. Although I also don't have like an RTX 3090 or whatever the numbers are. I don't have an Xbox Series X. I don't have a PS5. I've got Stadia and a PS4 and a Nintendo Switch and a pretty decent computer, but not like wow kind of computer. And I'm having a blast with it.
Yeah, I've played it on both Geforce Now. It looks beautiful on Geforce Now, even coming across at 1080p with full ray tracing on. Using the Shield with that AI stuff on it has been amazing. But I keep coming back to Stadia. It just seems to be better. To me, it seems like the game is less buggy for what I'm doing. It obviously the code bases on every platform start the same, but they have to do different tweaks to make it run on every platform individually. So each game is the same 99% the same, maybe 1% of little bit differences. So maybe that's what I'm feeling. Maybe I'm feeling that there's less bugs that I was experiencing on the other platforms, or maybe it's just completely random when they come up. But the new performance mode, the new graphics mode, no, performance mode, that's right, where the game looks better at 60 frames a second now than it did when the game first came out. And if you were playing at 60 frames a second, you might as well take the Vaseline out and put it over your glasses, because that's kind of how the game looked. It was like really blurry, really low res. They fixed that, and that was like like the first week they or a couple weeks they patched that in. So I'm really excited to see what they do over the next couple months as they're making their way to the next gen launches for Series X and PS5, because I wonder how many of the optimizations that they're doing for those versions are going to trickle down to our versions. I'm still, obviously we don't have any knowledge of this, and I haven't been told anything. This is just an educated guess. I fully expect that we're going to get a patch when those next gen versions come out to enable ray tracing. That's got to happen. Google has so much behind this version of the game. So I'm quite content playing it on Stadia. Like I have no FOMO. I'm not worried about any of the other platforms because it performs the best out of every version that I've tried or seen on Stadia. So big congrats to Google. I know we joked about flying in a B-52 filled with engineers, and they paratrooped out and dive bombed down to save the day. Obviously, that's not what happened, but I'm sure they did it with money and resources and technical help. But they pulled off a real win here because the Stadia version is, to me, the best version of the game right now, because you don't need a $15,000 or $2,000 video card to get the best performance out of it. In fact, you don't need any console. It runs on whatever hardware you have. Pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Geforce Now version. The Geforce Now version does look better. It's there's no doubt it does look better. It's got the ray
100%.
tracing and all of that stuff on, but the UI from starting it up to getting into the game is so clunky that I lose interest. And that's the one thing that Geforce Now really needs to work on is their user experience, how that works. Because I think that, they sent us the
Shield TVs.
The Shield TV
Pros,
Pros that have that AI upscaling, which is amazing how well that works. I can't wait to see what they can do. I hope that I'm very interested in getting Stadia running on my Shield TV Pro so I can see how that AI upscaling looks on Stadia, because that looks awesome. Anyway, go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like I'm waiting for official support of a Stadia app on Android TV devices so I can get it on my Sabrina and also on my Shield TV. Because what I'd love to do is set it to a 1080p stream at 60 frames a second, turn on that AI upscaling, and see what it looks like on my 65-inch TV or whatever I have. I'm really excited because imagine if you had Stadia running the game, but you're using NVIDIA GeForce hardware to play it, to upscale it. It was like this, it'd be this weird Voltron of streaming tech to make the game look the best. I'm all about checking that out and seeing how it looks, because their stream box is really, really impressive.
It is, although I would also say, it's $200, so it's pretty expensive of a thing. And the biggest appeal, this is really, I just want to see how it works. If you don't look at things side by side, you're not really going to notice. And the whole appeal of Stadia is just this simplicity of it, which we will talk about very soon. Playing on different screens for the first time. We're obviously gonna talk about that. And you mentioned, well, we'll move on from there. There is a quick story that I want to tell before we get into the news, which is that John Justice was interviewed by Escapist magazine, and he talked about some interesting stuff. We'll get to that in just a second. I got to see my mom yesterday for, I don't know, like 30 minutes or so. She is very cool, and she watches the show, which I say to her, I go, Mom, why do you watch the show? You don't care about this stuff. And she goes, well, I just like to see what you're up to. And I was like, okay.
It's amazing.
So she watches the show, and she messaged me, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And she said, I saw you and Lloyd playing that golf game. And she goes, I want to play that golf game. And I said, you're in our family plan, so you can play it if you want. But it's really meant to have a controller. And I'm not sure if your internet can handle it. And so we got on Discord, because we have like a family channel on my Discord. And we got on Discord, and she brought up her what's the word I'm looking for? She brought up her screen and shared it with me. And I was like, okay, click on this, click on that, do this, do that. Okay, now you've got an account. I'm going to hang up now, and I'll just call you on the phone, and you can try playing Monopoly or Uno and see if it runs for you. And so she tested all that stuff out, and it ran, and she goes, okay, I want to play the golf game. And I was like, well, you really need to have a controller. And she said, well, what kind of controller do I buy? And I said, well, okay, well, you want to get a Stadia controller because that's going to give you the best experience. And she said, okay, send me the link. So I sent her the link. She bought it.
Oh, wow.
And it showed up at her house. She got the Premier Edition. She calls me up and she says, can you come over and set it up for me? Now, of course, I work in a school. We've had positive cases. So I masked up. I slathered, what the hell's it called?
Sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer all over my hands. I went over to her house and we sat down. I got it all set up for her, turned on PGA Tour 2K21, and she was golfing, and she was so excited. And
that's so amazing.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I feel like Stadia does, is it can show people, it can bring in, if you remember what Nintendo did with the Wii, back in the era of the Wii, their whole mantra for Nintendo was to make the gaming population bigger, to grow the user base of people who are interested in video games. And I feel like Stadia is doing that in a way that is much more approachable, because you don't have to go and buy a thing. You can just play it on your Chromebook. My mom has been playing up until yesterday when I set up her Chromecast. She was playing Monopoly like every day. And she's like, she's having so much fun playing Monopoly. Of course, there were some people who were joining her game and then like bankrupting her like real fast because they are like Monopoly weirdos. I don't know.
Right.
So like I had to show her, all right, well, this is how you make it so that people can't join your game unless they're on your friends list and stuff like that. So now if somebody joins, it's because it's me. It's not some other weirdo. But she's really enjoying it. And I think that that's the thing that a lot of people...
Amazing.
That's the thing that a lot of people understand about Stadia, or a lot of developers understand about Stadia, is they can reach so many more people than they could before due to the barrier to entry being incredibly low, and you only have to buy a game. And I think that that's really awesome, except when you need a controller for a game like PGA.
Right. What an amazing story. First, hello, Bill's mom. Welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying. You did a good job. He's a good boy there, Bill's mom. But yeah, like the fact that you can start a game with one click means that the friction of a parent or a grandparent, or even someone that is our age or younger that maybe has never played games before because they had different interests when they were growing up, they don't have to say, okay, what do I need? Okay, I need to go buy a $500 console, and then the game comes with it. Oh wait, no, I have to spend another $60. Okay, can I just go to the store? Oh no, they're not in stock anywhere. All that friction is gone. You go to stadia.google.com, you sign up with your Gmail account, you have a free pro account. Once that lapses, you still have a Stadia account. You go to the store and you say, hey, I want to play PGA. It may be on sale or maybe it's not, whatever. I click buy, I put in my credit card information if it's not already linked, and boom, I'm playing a game in 30 seconds. Like there's no other start to finish experience like this for console gaming. Of course, we have that on phone. You can take your iPhone, you go to the store, there's free apps or paid apps or whatever, you click it, it downloads, you play it. So it's kind of taking the benefits of mobile, which already expanded the market of gamers, because everybody, like you talk to people, they're like, I'm not a gamer. Oh, what are you doing? I'm playing Candy Crush. Well, you're a gamer. You just don't know it yet. You don't want to admit it yet. It's taken that ease of access to content and put it into the console sphere, which is going to be huge. I can see that like stories like yours over the holidays and into next year. There's going to be so many of those bubbling up on Stadia's Reddit, Stadia's Discord, just randomly on Twitter, and I'm all here for it. I can't wait to read all that stuff because it's pretty heartwarming. I'm passionate about gaming. I love gaming. Stadia is the platform that I prefer to play all my games on. And having people that don't normally play video games thinking that, hey, Stadia is pretty cool too, is a pretty warm feeling, since we've been kind of banging the drum since I don't know, 18 months ago or something.
Something like that. It's been a long time. All right, let's move on to the news. John Justice was interviewed by Escapist magazine, and there's a few highlights from his interview that I thought were pretty interesting. So I want to start, and I'm not, obviously, if you want to watch the whole interview, there's a link in the show notes so that you can. Let's talk about this. Number one, Google is currently working with ISPs on data caps, trying to raise them or eliminate them. So here's my question to you, Lloyd, because they didn't follow up on this. Do you think that when he says we're trying to raise them or eliminate them, do you think that's because they are trying to do that as a whole, or they are trying to say, well, how about if Stadia doesn't count towards those? What do you think that their vector is here?
I think they might be starting with the thin edge of the wedge, which is, how about we just don't count Stadia? Or how about you add up all the Stadia traffic and then we write off that amount of data traffic from our networks. We do an enhanced peering agreement with you. So Comcast sends us a terabyte of data. They can get a terabyte of data from us for free before there's any charges. That would be the easiest way for Google to work with ISPs, is just doing more peering agreements. But maybe they're looking at getting rid of data caps entirely, because for Google, their whole business is built on the internet. They want people watching content on the internet. They want people watching YouTube, YouTube Music, streaming games, downloading stuff from the Play Store. And maybe they're just using this as kind of like the thin edge of the wedge to kind of bang it in and open that door a little bit further, so that ISPs in the US are maybe a little bit more customer focused. But they're never going to just do that on their own. So they're going to be getting some financial support from Google, I'm sure, probably through peering agreements. That would be, to me, the easiest way, because then there's not regular money drops that are coming from Google to all the various ISPs out there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I hope that that's not actually the case. I hope that the real thing is that they're trying to find ways to motivate them to get rid of data caps, because data caps, as Jerome in chat is saying, data caps are BS, and they are absolutely BS. It's not like it's a limited commodity. You don't run out of bits. The bits just can keep on coming, and it's a very sneaky, slimy way of doing business. Then there's not enough competition in my particular country. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in my country, there's almost zero competition. You live in an area, you have like one choice for where to go, and all the other choices are so far below that it's not really a choice at all. So I do like that Google is working on that. Whether or not they'll be successful is, of course, another story.
Yeah, data caps existed when we went from primarily using dial-up to using cable modems or DSL modems, because these ISPs didn't have fiber coming out their ears. It was just like, okay, we have this many customers, we need to run these more, this many more fiber lines. Well, all of North America is coated in fiber for the most part. Obviously, from the little pedestal to your house is probably copper, but everything else is on fiber. So it's not like Comcast is like, oh, we got 3 more customers, we got to put up another T1 line, because those don't exist anymore. They have huge fiber trunks, and they just have to dial up the amount of bandwidth that they want and base it on that. So caps made sense in back in the day to kind of limit expansion to a controllable amount. That time is gone. We don't need data caps anymore. So hopefully, hopefully, like I don't know, government will get involved at some point and just say that these things are illegal, because they should be. There's no reason why data caps should exist in 2020.
I 100% agree. All right. He was also asked about Android TV. You and I were just talking about Android TV and the fact that I have not put Stadia on my NVIDIA Shield yet, because it's not officially supported. And I just like things to just work. I'm not interested in going through all of the hoops that you have to jump through in order to get things side loaded onto things. When I was younger, I would do all of that stuff. These days, I'm just like, I would rather spend that time doing something else. So I'm not going to bother. So
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until it's officially supported. And as soon as it's officially supported, I will be trying that out. You know, Lloyd and I both have these Shield TV Pros. We both also have the Google Home, or not Google Home, Google, I mean, we have Google Home, but the Google TV with Chromecast that is Sabrina, which Lloyd is holding up for the YouTube viewers right now. We both have those things. That is, by the way, my preferred method of watching TV. It is a really good interface, and I like the remote a lot.
Yep.
I can't wait for Stadia to be part of that. John Justice was asked about this, and he said, I'm already seeing, because obviously they can see what you're playing on, but he said, we're already seeing lots of people playing Stadia on Android OS by sideloading it. He said that they're putting a lot of work into bringing Stadia to Android TV. And then he said something along the lines of, it's like it's already there, which makes it feel like, okay, they're going to do an update. And, you know, this may be just reading into it, but it seems like what they'll do is they'll do an update to Android TV, and it will have Stadia pre-installed, so you won't have to go to the App Store, or whatever it is that they call it on that, I guess the Play Store. So you won't have to go to the Play Store in order to install Stadia. I think that's the best solution, because it puts Stadia in front of a much bigger audience. What do you think about his comments, Lloyd?
Yeah, it's interesting. They could do that patch for this guy. The Sabrina can get the Stadia installed by default. I don't think that Google can do that to all the other clouds, the Android TV boxes. Sorry, my brain is not working right now. It's rebooting currently. Just because of agreements, they can't push that app. But if they put it at the top of the Play Store, that would be fantastic. I tried sideloading on the Sabrina. I got Stadia running on it. It was fine. Everything was good. And then you boot and you need a keyboard. And it's like, there's nowhere to plug in a keyboard. How am I going to do this? And there's other workarounds you can do. There's you can put it through hubs and plug in a physical keyboard. You can use soft keyboards on your phone. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm an IT guy. I do this every day. I don't want to do it at home, so I'm just going to wait for official support. So bringing that sooner rather than later would be a really good thing for Google. But you know, there has to be some issues as to why it's not there now. It has to be something to do with the connection of the controller, or waiting for the game to start. Maybe there's some other work, some other libraries that have to be built for this, or maybe they just ran out of time because of COVID. So I'm eagerly anticipating this on Sabrina and my Shield, because I unplugged my Sabrina because we weren't really using it for anything else. But as soon as that patch comes, this is going to go on another TV, so I can play Stadia now on 4 TVs in my house without having to move anything around, which is what I really wanted.
Yeah, I think that I really like that device. The only reason that I have anything else hooked up to my TV at this point is two reasons. Number one, it doesn't support Apple TV yet, but I read a story recently that said that that's coming. And B, it doesn't support, I don't know if I did 1 or A, but I'm going with B now. But B, it doesn't support Stadia. As soon as both of those things happen, I won't have an Apple TV hooked up to my TV. I won't have the old Chromecast hooked up to my TV. I'll just have one device, and it'll be really smooth and easy to use, because I really do like that UI. I did find that you can hook Bluetooth stuff up to the Sabrina thing, so you could use a Bluetooth keyboard. I ended up hooking my my AirPods up to the TV just to see if it would work, and it
Oh,
totally did. Like, it paired, and then I was able to listen to what I was watching on my AirPods, which was really cool.
that's very cool.
Yeah. So, like, my wife and I, we have a room downstairs that is currently, it's like a storage room, but we're slowly clearing that out, and it's going to be like a home gym, and we're going to put a TV in there. And I think that I'll probably end up getting like a pair of sweat-proof Bluetooth headphones so that I could, be on the treadmill and watching TV and get my headphones on while I'm not interrupting her stuff with whatever she's doing, which I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Stadia coming to all of the TVs. That's their goal. It's going to happen. I'm very happy about it. The next thing that they talked about is Stadia Tech, and this is the thing that I thought was the number one best thing that he could have said. He said, "Yeah, we're working on new hardware. You're not going to hear us talk about it. We're not talking about it until it's done." And that's the right way to go. I think that they have learned. Like, one of the best questions that was asked is, what have you guys learned? And John was like, "We've learned to shut our mouths and let our actions speak for us." Basically, I'm paraphrasing. So they are upgrading hardware, but they're not going to be talking about it. And I think that's the best thing.
100%. They've learned the lesson of this is what we're going to do. So Stadia is 4K 60, every game 4K 60, and we're going to be upgrading the tech constantly, and it's going to be amazing. Stadia is the best place to play your games on all your screens, and we're going to be upgrading, but you're not going to know about it until you're playing a game that has that enhanced features. There you go. That is as big a pivot as a company can do, and I think it's for the best, because you don't want all those articles saying, "Oh, well, Stadia promised us this, we still don't have it. It's been out for a year. What's wrong? Stadia is obviously dead." All those conversations will go away just by them not doing that, which is fantastic.
I will say, like, so you just said a thing that a lot of people assume is every game will be 4K 60. Now, are there games, Lloyd, we're going to do a quick Q&A. Are there games on Stadia that run at 4K 60?
There are games that run at 4K 60. There's a bunch of them.
Okay, so they did hit that promise. It's up to the individual publishers and developers as to how much work that they want to put into bringing an older game to a new platform. And most of those publishers and developers are going to say, "Well, I'm going to do the smallest amount of work that I can because we're busy making other games rather than going back and doing stuff all over again." So that whole 4K 60, yes, they got up. I've screamed about this forever. I've said, Stadia, don't say numbers. Numbers only breed arguments. But they got up on stage and they said 4K 60. And everybody looked at that and they said, "Oh, all games will be 4K 60. But they never said that. And then when all games weren't 4K 60, some people got bent out of shape about it, which I think is unfair, because if you look at the same thing that happens on, Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, they say the Nintendo Switch has a 720p screen on it. Do all games run in handheld mode at 720p? No, they don't. And that's a normal thing, but for some reason Stadia gets the ugly end of that stick.
Yeah, it's like the developers for Ori and the Will o' the Wisps. That was an Xbox game that got ported to Switch. They worked the hardest they've ever worked, they said in an interview I read, to get the game running at 60 frames a second. So does that mean that we should now complain that every other game is in 60 frames a second? No, every developer gets to do what they want with their own game. If a developer wants to release a game right now that runs at 320 by 200 with text-based graphics, that's up to them. They can do that. They're probably not going to sell 1 million copies unless it's a really good text-based game. But just because the platform can handle something doesn't mean that every game is going to support that one feature. And people have to get that into their head a little bit.
Granite T Rock in chat just said, "I can't wait till I can enjoy the dice rolls in Monopoly in 4K 60 with ray tracing."
Just imagine the little reflections on those die. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I
It
can't wait.
is. As content creators, my ears always kind of perk up whenever they talk about YouTube integration. He said that YouTube integration is going to expand. Now, right now, we've got crowd choice, we've got crowd play, we've got streaming built in, and he says that it's going to expand. Now, what a lot of people probably missed is that recently YouTube or Google, I guess Google became an investor in OBS, which is open broadcasting software, which is the software that most streamers use in order to get their gameplay or their face or whatever up on YouTube or up on Twitch. But Google started investing in OBS, and they're kind of partnering with them. I think it's possible that when he says YouTube integration will expand, I think it's possible that people are going to be able to use OBS to send like a 720p version of their camera and then have that overlaid onto their Stadia stream in order to, like, I think, and it, you know what? It doesn't even have to be 720p. It could be like 540p and 30 frames per second, and it doesn't need to use up very much bandwidth at all in order to still look good, because usually the camera is this little tiny box down in the corner. I'm trying to think of other ways that they can expand YouTube integration. Do you have any ideas? What do you think?
What I was thinking of, because with this partnership with OBS is very very exciting and very interesting for many ways. What I'd love to see is a stripped down version of OBS that runs as JavaScript in a browser, where all it does is it allows you to set up a couple different scenes in the browser using kind of the standard way that OBS does it. And when you are starting a stream on YouTube, you get that little pop-up window. Have an area where you can set up your stream. So you hit that button and it says, okay, here's your webcam. Which webcam do you want to use? You choose your webcam. It says, okay, we're setting it to 320 by 200 or whatever that resolution is. Position it on the screen. Are you using a graphic overlay? Do you have your own graphics, or do you want to choose one of the ones that we have here? And you click the button and it'll highlight around your border. It'll put notifications on your screen just built into YouTube, and then you hit go. And then that just runs in the background. Your camera turns on when you're streaming. You can see a preview in like a small little tiny window on another monitor if you have that, and then you just play the game like you normally would. That would be really fantastic. I know YouTube used to have this little live streaming app that was by the Telestream people, I think, that made Wirecast, and you would just run that, and it was very rudimentary. You had a couple scenes you could switch between, but it was easy for the people that don't want to devote the time to figure out how this whole streaming thing works.
Actually, you can still do that. It's still
they
there.
Still have that app?
Yeah,
oh,
if you just, it's not even like, if you just go into Go Live, like the default thing is webcam, and then it does all of the
right
stuff, so you don't have to use software.
Yes, but this would be using some features of software that are kind of built into kind of like a cloud platform. That would be a really fantastic way to do it. And then you could just start your stream, send your camera up in the cloud. It takes those two things, overlays them, and then outputs them to YouTube. And I'm sure there wouldn't be any additional delay for them to do that, because Stadia is already pretty close to real time when you're streaming live. That would be a really great way for them to do that. And I mean, that's just a dumb idea that a dumb guy has. I'm sure they have really intelligent engineers that have been doing this forever that have 1,000 other ideas that are better than that. But something as simple as that would really, we've said it before, it would totally democratize game streaming, because you don't need to have a beefy PC. You don't need to learn software. You don't need to do anything. You can just sit there in front of your computer and hit stream, do a little bit of setting, and then that's it. And then it looks beautiful, plays beautiful, and you can play great games on Stadia with your viewers. It's going to be fantastic if this comes to light,
without having a huge upload, because that's the thing, is having a high upload speed is usually pretty expensive. You can play Stadia, like like I was talking about at the beginning of the show. My mom's playing Stadia She's got, I think it was like 15 down or something like that is her speed, and it runs just fine. She's not sharing her bandwidth with a whole, like, I got 5 people in my house that we're sharing bandwidth, so we need a little bit more than that. She doesn't have to share her bandwidth with a bunch of people. So when you're talking about somebody who wants to stream, a lot of people might say, well, I don't really care about streaming, so this doesn't affect me. Why do I care? But this is something that can affect the platform as a whole, because if suddenly Stadia becomes the easiest way for people to start streaming games, then you're going to see a lot of people who are playing Stadia because they want to stream. And then you're going to see those games being played on Stadia in a lot of places on you. Like, you're going to see it all over the place on YouTube. And then people are going to see those and they're going to say, oh, that game looks really good. I'm going to play it. Oh, I could just click a button and I can start playing it right now. Well, let's try that. Bam. And now suddenly you've got somebody trying Stadia who's never tried it before. I think that this is the thing that can push Stadia into the mainstream, probably more than anything else, outside of just getting into more countries.
Yeah, 100%. This is a huge thing that I'm sure they have. It's probably taken up a third of their whiteboard, if not more. John Justice's mythical whiteboard of features. I'm sure this is way up there, because this would be huge for the platform as a whole.
And the last thing that he mentioned in the interview was basically, we're done promising things. We're just going to ship stuff when it's done, and we're not going to talk about it ahead of time, which I hope that that's true. How does that work for unless they do a Stadia Connect where, and by the way, this is available today, or it's available tomorrow. That's the only way that I want to see them doing Stadia Connects in that case, because you don't want, like, it's hard for, I think, companies to do those kind of announcements and then have those announcements be ready the next day. So I do worry that they'll continue to do Stadia Connects, and they will promise things during those, but maybe I'll take John at his word, and that's not going to happen. I hope that they will also not ever mention ahead of time when they're doing a Stadia Connect, maybe a day at the most. Hey, everybody, we're going to have an announcement tomorrow, just so that people are watching.
Just schedule the video as a premiere. That's all the announcement they need, because the news sites are going to be blowing up over that, and then send out your press release that afternoon. That would be enough to get the word out. But we need more connects. I think we had 2 last year or 3 last year. We need more. This needs to be a regular thing. If they're not going to tell us about the features that are coming, we need to have a regular communication with the Stadia team. That would be a good thing as well.
I think mostly they just release that information through their community blog rather than doing a video. I think whenever they do a Stadia Connect, like, it's a big video, and it's supposed to be like an event. And if you do an event type thing and you don't have crazy banana pants things to talk about, then inevitably people get hyped and then disappointed. The only way to avoid that is to not do a Stadia Connect, or B, do a Stadia Connect, but don't say anything about it ahead of time. Just have the video just drop. Like Nintendo has been doing that recently, where they were just like, by the way, here's some information. Oh my gosh, we didn't even know that this was happening. Okay, well, that's really awesome. Like the last thing that they did, which was the Hangout event with the wrestler man and actor lady whose name I don't remember. Sorry, Goldfish. That event was very well received, and I think it's because there was very little lead time for people to get themselves hyped. Because every time that they give us time to start talking about what are your predictions, people make the mistake of taking the predictions that nerds in their attic like us make, and thinking that that's what's going to happen, and then being angry at Google when the thing that they never promised doesn't happen. And so it's tough to avoid that if you're going to announce stuff ahead of time.
Yeah. Kind of my last thought on this interview. I mean, it was a good interview, a lot of good information. It seems like the interviewer had some other ideas that John didn't want to play with at all. The whole idea of someone buying a game on Xbox and getting a free Stadia code so that they can redeem it in the cloud is just like, what kind of crazy world do you live in? That would be like me going to Safeway, which is a grocery store, saying, hey, I just bought a turkey from Superstore. Can you give me one for free? Because I already bought it. I already bought a turkey. Can I have another turkey? That just doesn't work. They're two different companies. What would make sense, if you bought a game on Xbox, you could stream it using xCloud game streaming, and lo and behold, that is coming in 2021. Yes. So there's your solution right there. Stadia is its own thing. They're not going to be partnering with PlayStation and Xbox anytime soon, I wouldn't imagine. So all those ideas of getting your whole Xbox library streaming wherever you are on Stadia, or your whole PlayStation library streaming wherever you're on Stadia, just don't ask questions like that. It's never going to happen. It's two different companies, and Google's not throwing server space away for the sake of making other companies, other rich corporations, making their cloud streaming efforts easier. I can't see that happening.
Of course, I also feel like when he asked that question, I feel like John had, because the example that he used, I think, was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and John had like the perfect answer that he could have given, is saying, well, if you subscribe to Ubisoft Plus, then you can play that game on both platforms. So that's really on a publisher by publisher basis.
That's right. Except for Microsoft doesn't support Ubisoft Plus on Xbox.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think the only thing that they have is the EA access or whatever, but then now that's baked into Game Pass. You know, it's not even an additional subscription. It's just part of your Game Pass thing. So yeah, I don't know, man. This was a really good interview. It was great to see John again. Again, we're not in the same place at the same time, so conspiracy theories continue. Joking, John. Hopefully, you can come on the show again soon. We'd love to chat with you. It was really good, and it just shows the maturity that is afforded to something that you've had in your hands for a year. You have all these plans early on, and then you in a new industry, and then you realize, okay, this isn't going to work because we've done it. We've done this stuff before, but that's for web, and that's for telecom, and that's for set-top boxes. This is a different industry. So I'm sure Google learned a lot of hard lessons over this last 12 months, and yeah, it's going to be amazing to see kind of a year from now what the 2 years in review interview with John Justice is going to be like, because I have a good feeling that 2021 is going to be big for Stadia.
Yes. Well, especially because of our next story. For me, I think that this is probably the thing that I'm most excited about. And I'm going to hold up my phone because it's smaller than my iPad. But right there, you can now play Stadia on iOS, officially supported. You no longer have to use a third-party app in order to do it. It works incredibly well. And Google, I immediately went to go buy a Claw, which I probably wouldn't really use all that much because I'm not somebody who wants to play on their phone. But I wanted to try it out, and the Claw is sold out. But hey, iOS now has access to Stadia. That opens up Stadia to a whole new set of customers, a whole new set of people who want to be able to play. You know, there's a reason that the Nintendo Switch is so popular. It's popular because you can play it on your TV and then you can take it with you. And Google Stadia now is basically the same thing. So Google, you got to get those claws in stock, because I think people are going to want to try it out. But like I did my I guess first look at iOS with Google Stadia, and it worked really well. I was very, very impressed. How do you feel about it so far?
It works amazingly well. I did buy a Claw just on the hope that iOS support would come at some point. And now it's here, and I've used it a bunch of times. I played some SpongeBob with it. It was fantastic. I played some Bomberman with it. It's fantastic. The only thing the Claw has made me realize is that I need a bigger screen. So I think I may be picking up an iPad at some point in the near future. I haven't had a new one since like the iPad 3. So it's going to be a long time coming, because I think to me, that would be the best way to play when I'm not sitting in front of my TV or my computer here, would be on an iPad with a Stadia controller that I find some sort of hard case for and bring around with me. That would be the perfect way to travel and play games when the world exists in a place where you can actually travel again at some point in the future. I have many plans for where I'm going to be playing games for videos or for fun, and doing it on an iPad I think would be fantastic.
I did try to do this off of Wi-Fi, and I live in the middle of nowhere. I have a pretty horrible connection on my phone most of the time. So I turned off Wi-Fi and I was able to play Stadia. I don't have a controller so I had to have my phone like sitting on the desk in front of me, and so I was looking at it like it's not a way that I would play, but I was able to play without Wi-Fi and it worked. It was like 720p or something like that, but when you're talking about a screen that small, that resolution is fine. I'm very impressed by it, and I think that it's going to be a big selling point for a lot of people who previously they were like, well, I can't use it on my phone, so I'm not going to bother. Well, now you can. And I know there's going to be people in chat or in the comment section down below that are like, well, you should just get Android. Well, some people don't want to use Android, so they're all right.
Yep, I have an Android tablet, and I don't use it. The one thing I was really excited to see, because I didn't realize that this was coming with the first version of iOS support, is controller overlays when you don't have a controller paired for some of the games. Like I was playing Bomberman with touchscreen controls, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's for simple games like that, it's perfectly usable for a lot of people that already play phones on their phone.
Bomberman? It's so fast paced.
Yeah, but it's two inputs. It's your control, it's your D-pad and a button, and maybe a second button if you have a secondary power. If any of the games are on the platform would do well with that kind of touchscreen support, Bomberman would definitely be one of them. Same with Pac-Man would be great. I'm not saying for me personally, because I detest touchscreen controls. That's why I don't play on my mobile phone anymore. But there's a lot of people out there that play most of their games on their phones, and this would be a perfect way to play Stadia.
Are you going to be doing your Elder Scrolls Online writs using your phone now?
Probably not. But it would be a very easy, quick way to do it, I'm sure. I'm gonna have to see if there's touchscreen controls for Elder Scrolls Online. I didn't even test that.
It overlays a controller on there, so yeah.
Is that for all games? I thought it was only specific games.
No, I think it's all games, because I tried it for.
Okay.
I tried to do mouse and keyboard, because I have a mouse that hooks up to my iPad, and I tried to do that with Baldur's Gate, and it was like, well, no controllers detected. Do you want us to put the overlay on? So I think that's for every game.
Wow. Okay, interesting. I got to play around with that app. I'm waiting for an iPad. Once you can actually order stuff and have it arrive quickly, because of the big crunch for Christmas deliveries. Once that's done, I'll probably do an in-store pickup of a new iPad and then play some Stadia on it. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, I don't want to spend longer than a minute on this story because it's not that big of a deal. All of Google was down for about a half an hour this week, and the internet, like everybody, was very, very upset about it. Stadia was included in that, and my argument is that, you know, all services will have this kind of thing, and being down for a half hour for an entire year, I think that's pretty okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. And I'm sure Google being down caused a whole bunch of other companies to be down as well, because so many companies rely on Google servers to do their business. So yeah, not a normal outage, but it really does show that cloud gaming isn't perfect yet, because if the cloud's down, you're down. Yeah, it is what it is.
You know, I did see, I'm going to go past the 1 minute mark. I did see people in the comments on my video about this. Like, a lot of people were like, well, yeah, but sometimes I sit down and try and play a game and I have to patch it, and that patch takes more than an hour sometimes. That's a different kind of downtime, but it still exists on other platforms. And absolutely, in fact, there's probably way more downtime on all other platforms than there is on Stadia, because we don't have to do any downloading or updating or patching. It just you click the button and it works. Moving on, they did say celebrate the holidays, as Lloyd is with his cool hat on, with 3 new games coming to Stadia in December. 3 of these, the 3 games are Enter the Gungeon, Reigns, and Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light. Now, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light is the prequel to Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, and it was originally on the Xbox 360. I'm not really interested in that game at all. Then there's Reigns, which is originally like a phone game, which is also coming to Stadia. I believe it's also on the Nintendo Switch, and you can get it on PC, on Steam, and stuff like that. I'm not interested in that. Enter the Gungeon, though, is an absolutely fantastic twin-stick shooter roguelike game. Have you ever played that, Lloyd?
Oh yeah, I love Enter the Gungeon and Exit the Gungeon, with the sequel, which is more of like a Super Crate Box kind of game. I love Enter the Gungeon. I'm horrible at Enter the Gungeon, but I love it. I love these roguelikes. I'm just not very good at them, because to get really good at these games, you have to like only play these games for like 6 months straight. And I quickly bounce from game to game to game. So I've played a lot of this on my Switch, and I think I've only unlocked like 2 other skins, which you can pretty much do in your first game if you know what you're doing. So yeah, I'm excited to see this on Stadia. I think it's a really perfect fit for cloud gaming, because you click play and you're playing Enter the Gungeon in 30 seconds, and then you can bounce really quick to whatever other game you want to play.
It's an incredibly fun game. I highly recommend that people check it out. It's really awesome. Have you played either of the other 2 games?
I played a little bit of Reigns back in the day. I think when it first came on Nintendo Switch. It's an interesting game. It's more of like a story-based card game. Like you're trying to like overtake the monarch, and you can do it a bunch of different ways. The art style is pretty interesting. It's like these like super like polygonal like people with like big long slits for eyes. I kind of dig the art style. It's kind of weird how it was meant for a phone, so you have like the vertical screen, but then it has all the stuff on the side, because it's like, well, we don't want to change the whole user interface, we just want to change a bit of it. So yeah, Reigns is going to be a good pickup as well. Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, I was like, don't we already have that? And I was like, no. So I was thinking of Temple of Osiris. Yeah, this interesting. I did play this on the original release on the 360 back in the day. I'm not super excited about this personally, but it's good that there's more Lara Croft on Stadia, because I know a lot of people love this franchise.
Yeah. And I've played Temple of Osiris, and I really like that game. It's interesting. It did not hold my attention, though. And I don't think that says anything about the game. I think that that's just, because I have a horrible attention span when it comes to games. And of course, as content creators, we're constantly looking at new games. So it's a game has to be really, really impressive in order to hold my attention for any length of time. And Temple of Osiris did not do that. But if you're not like vision to the same game for very long, then maybe that you'll really enjoy this, because I think that Temple of Osiris is really good, like objectively good. And I'm guessing that this is more of that, with probably graphics that aren't quite as good. But you know what? It's not all about the graphics, because this is an older game, and maybe it's new to you.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be a budget release. I'd be surprised if it, or I would be surprised if it wasn't like $10 or something. This will be a good, quick game to get through and play over the holidays if you're not into like the Cyberpunk or the Valhallas or the Immortals, and you want something a little bit lighter to play. It's a really fun game. Back in the day, I really enjoyed this one. I think I might have gotten all the gamer score from it when it originally launched. I'll have to go check my gamer score profile. I think this is one of those games, but yeah, this will be a fun one for people on Stadia.
So let's get on to the end of the show, where we do crowd play. This is where we talk about what you guys want us to talk about, and people send in super chats for that. Ray Sherrod sent in a super chat, and we've got a whole bunch of members that came in the last day or so, and we'll talk about that after the show. We'll thank them when the podcast part of the show is over. But Ray Sherrod said, "Happy holidays, Bill and Lloyd. Love you guys." Well, Ray, thank you very much for the support. We do very much appreciate it. Anthony had a question He sent in a super chat and said, for those of us that play Stadia on laptops, how hard would it be for Google to integrate the built-in camera for Stadia for streaming purposes? Well, we kind of talked about that already. I will say that what do you think, Lloyd? Is there anything else to add here? Because I don't think it's hard to do, but now you really have to also have an upload. It doesn't have to be super high upload because it's a small camera, but it doesn't. But you do have to have an upload. And now is the laptop, like, I know Anthony, and he's got a fancy M1 MacBook, so he's a jerk, and I don't like him anymore. But like, if you're trying to do it on a Chromebook, now you're doing a lot, and I wonder if the Chromebook could handle both things at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, displaying a webcam is pretty light from a compute kind of like measuring stick. It's the uploading that is going to take some cycles away from the game stream coming down. The bandwidth needed is going to be very minimal as long as you crank down the resolution. But yeah, I think it would struggle on a Chromebook. It would be amazing if Google could work with the OBS Institute. I think that's what it's called. Whatever the organization that runs OBS, and come up with a Chromebook version of OBS. That would be fantastic. I don't think that'll happen. I do think it is going to be still too heavy. But like I said before, when you're playing a game and you get that little streaming pop-up, if you could have that built into that little web app that is running in that window, if that would be interesting. I worry about the number of cycles that web app running in the background would take away from lesser hardware, let's say.
Yeah. Jay Dangle also sent in a super chat, as did Sukotronic. They did not put a message with that super chat, but thank you very much. We also had a super chat from GRS UK. They said, keep up the good work. Merry Christmas to all and all the other nerd nesters. And that's true. Today's the 20th. The next podcast will be after Christmas. So I suppose this is our Christmas show. It didn't even occur to me. I haven't been looking at the camera, and Christmas feels like it's being very sneaky this year and sneaking up on us with only 5 days left. And then GRS UK also sent in a second super chat that said, it's Christmas, have another 5.
That's amazing.
This one is in, okay, is this French? Can you read this, Lloyd?
It looks like it's German.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what you're saying, Mikrai, but thank you very much for the support. We do appreciate it. It seems like that's it for the super chats. I'm going to thank all of the members, the new members after the show, because we're going long and I want to wrap up the actual podcast. Is there anything that you want to mention before we get out of here, Lloyd?
No, just that it's been a really amazing year. Everybody that has been coming and joining us and supporting us, thank you for that. Anybody that has watched us over the last year, thank you for that, and just hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday season, whatever holidays you support.
That's right. And we've got our live chat who are translating the German for us. Apparently,
the future.
Yeah, Google Stadia is the future, is what Mikrai is saying. Well, thank you very much, Mikrai, for the support. And Trevs, thank you for being our awesome C-3PO in a dinosaur costume. We appreciate it. And happy holidays to everybody. I can't promise that I won't put out videos throughout the week because I am addicted to talking into a microphone, and
he really is, people. we have regular, we don't stream them, but we have regular support meetings where Bill goes, hi, my name is Bill and I'm an addict to talking in my microphone. It's been three hours since my last content creation, and we talk each other down a little bit.
Oh my goodness, that's okay. That's only partially true. Only partially true. But thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us for this whole year. Happy holidays, whatever holiday you support or you celebrate, and make sure that you stay safe, and if you can, stay home and away from people. Just just for a little while longer while we get rid of all of this craziness.
We're almost there, folks. We got vaccines coming to all these countries around the world. So hopefully, if we're really good around the holidays, staying in and playing Stadia to while away the hours, next holidays is going to be much better.
And Kodiak Moonwolf says, Bill, movie podcast in the new year then? I can't go to the movies. Anyway, maybe. I love talking about stuff. All right. Happy holidays. Bye, everybody.
Later, everybody. Have a safe and happy holiday season.
There we go. And we are saved. We did it. We made a podcast. Awesome. We made a thing. Save project.
Oh, man.
Stadia. What is this? 90? 90. Holy cow. Stadiacast 90. 90 episodes of this, Lloyd. Can you believe it?
It's insane. That's insane. That's almost 2 years of shows. Weekly.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hey, Anthony, go ahead and ban that guy.
Which guy?
So somebody shows up and they're like, wait, is this new? Yeah. They're messaging the mods and they're like, hey, check out my channel. I made a video about it. Oh, wait, no, that's an old... Why did that just get pushed up?
Is that an old chat?
It is an old chat. I looked in Discord, and I had a message from Anthony, and I looked, and that's the last thing that he sent me. Maybe he sent a message and then deleted it. What are you up to, Anthony? Anyway.
He's talking about how awesome his M1 Mac is.
I want one so bad for video editing.
I really want one too. I do everything on my PC now, and if I had to get a Mac, I wouldn't be able to do all the stuff that I do because I can't have multiple. I have a Mac in the corner which runs all my media streaming, which used to be the podcast Mac that I used. I can't have multiple machines. Multitasking on different computers just isn't in my brain for some strange reason.
Yeah, for me, I want it mostly. I mean, I would obviously use it for this as well, but I want it for work. So just a little insight into what I do. So I'm a teacher, and I have at-home students, and I have in front of me students, and we were told at the beginning of the year, plan your teaching as if everybody's virtual. So that means I have to make videos. So I've got a tripod set up in my classroom. I put my phone up on the tripod and pointed it at me. I've got a microphone that I have for podcasting that it plugs into the bottom of my phone and points at me to make it sound a little bit better. And then I have my iPad in front of me, and that's basically my chalkboard. And I'm drawing all over there and making diagrams and telling the students how to do stuff. And then I take those two videos, because I can just record my desktop on my iPad, and I edit them together, and I edit them together on my iPad using Luma Touch, which is great, but it's kind of clunky for when you're used to a regular nonlinear editor, and I would just love to be able to use Final Cut Pro.
What about iMovie?
Ugh.
Even worse for that type of stuff. I'm just thinking simple content creation. You can just kind of stack all those video clips together with transitions and export.
You can, and that's what I do. And Luma's great for that. But I mean, you know me. I can't be happy
I do know
with that.
You. It's funny. We spend so much time getting things locked away, and then I get the source files. I send them to Bill. And then a week later, it's changed. I'm like, dude, I just finished setting up what we had a week ago. What are you doing? Yeah, I like to tinker. You're driving me crazy, man. That's a little background to our relationship off camera.
Yeah, I change things. Lloyd is very happy to be like, all right, this is how it works. And I'm always like, all right, I got it to work. And now I have to change things 58 times in order to figure things out. Although, hey, I will say, I don't see our thumbnails changing anytime soon. I'm extremely happy with those. And
that was a lot of work.
When I finally got all of this nonsense figured out with our camera movements and stuff like that, I think that I'm very happy with that. I don't see myself changing that stuff either. but I'm Bill and I change things. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Everybody that's been super chatting at the end, Mike Cree 009, you're a beast. Thank you. We can read half of your super chats coming in. So thanks for that, trying to English size them a little bit. Clive, thank you for that super chat as well. Appreciate you as well.
Okay. Because I was looking. Yeah, that's Clive
Illenden.
Thank you. Although I think I've been saying it wrong. I think it's Illenden. Like I heard him say it, and I was like, I've always said it Illenden. And
that's what I've always said.
Yeah, I heard him say it differently the other day, or maybe he was just, I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for the super chats. We really do appreciate it. I also want to thank the following people who became members recently. It's a lot of people, so I'm gonna just do first names: Chris, David, GRS, John, Eric, Florian, Francois, Anthony, Nick, Shen, RJC, Rick, Ryan, On Fire, Stadia Vet Gaming, Miguel, Raul, Travis, Chris, Sofa Spy, Matthew, Christopher, Power, Fantastic, Lee, Andrew, Adamaroth, Christopher, and Etienne. So thank you all of you who, some of those are new members, some of those are returns. Did I say it wrong?
Etienne Lessard.
Oh, okay. Etienne
Definitely
Lessard.
A French name.
Yeah, he sounds like a detective. Do you think he's a detective?
He's Detective Etienne Lessard from the what is how
Interpol?
would I say that? Interpol. That would be a good one because I'm trying to think of a French thing. Yeah, I guess Interpol would be in France.
I think so. Because like Scotland Yard is the the English thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of France, this is in movie podcasts, and then I'll let you get out of here. I was my wife and I finally watched Taken, like the Liam Neeson movie where his daughter goes to Paris and gets kidnapped.
Right.
That movie was great. It was really good.
I saw that so long ago. I haven't seen any of the sequels. It is a really good movie. I've
wanted to watch it for a really long time, and I bought it I don't know, like 4 years ago digitally. It was super, super cheap. And we just never watched it until 2 days ago. I don't know what the hell took us so long, but it was really good. I liked it a lot. Eric Lessard's brother from Police Academy.
Commandant Lessard.
Oh, that's right. Oh, man.
I love those movies.
They are really... I wish that they would remake them with what's his name as the commandant now, because he's going to be Steve Guttenberg as now the commandant.
That would be really good. There's like 18 Police Academy movies. There's so many of them. Actually, I think there's only 8, but they had the ones that were in theater, and then they just kept making them. And I watched all of them at one point. Like Kara and I, my wife Kara and I, we watched all of them from like back to back. They get progressively worse, but they're still a lot of fun.
They do.
It's funny. Like I've been going back and watching old sitcoms. Like I watched Married with Children. I watched Three's Company. I've started watching some Cheers and stuff like that. And holy hell, was there? It's hard to watch old comedy because there's jokes that would not fly in this day and age at all. And it's just like you laugh, and it's just like, ooh. That laughter hurt a little bit.
Yeah, you feel really bad for some of the things that are funny in those shows. Like I recently, I had finished watching whatever show I was watching, and I was like, all right, I need a new show to watch while I'm on my stupid bicycle that I hate. And I decided to watch MASH. I've seen MASH a million times. We had it on VHS when I was growing up. Like it was always a show that we watched. And I was watching the first episode, and I will not say the joke that they said because it is racist. It was It wasn't even like veiled racism. It was just straight up pure. That is a racist joke, and it was on network TV.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I mean the U.S. population lived through a war, and then there's a TV series about the war and all of the really bad words that were very common in newspapers and news reports and everything. Really bad expletives, or I guess not expletives, but really bad terms for certain swaths of people. And then you see it in network television, and it's just like, oh my God, what the hell? But that's just that's just a snapshot to a different time.
Absolutely.
In the world. Definitely a different time in the world.
All right, everybody. McCry did another super chat. Thank you very much for that. Jay Dingle just sent in another super chat. They said happy holidays, you guys, and thank you. Happy holidays to everybody else. We really do appreciate. Oh, you got to show them your shirt, man. They're talking about craft beer.
Yeah. Hey, real ale craft beer. You want to see my craft beer Christmas shirt? Well, it's not really a craft beer Christmas shirt, but it is it's a sweater that I wear all the time because I do love craft beer a lot.
Frothy the Snowman.
It's Frothy the Snowman. He has two big pints of frothy ale that he likes to drink.
When I said Frothy the Snowman, all I could think of was Mike Tyson.
Snowman.
I was thinking of Mike Tyson.
He's been going for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
awesome.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for coming out. This has been a great show. We're recording next weekend, right?
I would assume so, but
let me just look at the date.
Up to our wives. Honestly.
That's true. It's the 27th. Yeah, that should be fine for me. So hopefully we'll see you guys next weekend. If not, the 3rd will be our next show. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. It's great.
Bye everyone.
Later. Propeller craft beer. I don't think I've ever tried Propeller real ale craft beer. I live in Winnipeg, so we have a lot of craft beer places in Winnipeg that I drink all the time. I don't know if the mic is still coming through our video.
It is. You started talking about Propeller, so I put you back on screen.
Here, I'm gonna go hit me up. Real ale. At Dazme on Twitter. We can continue our talk on Twitter.
There you go. And look forward to Lloyd's craft beer
podcast
episodes right here at the Nerd Nest, because people can be nerdy about everything.
Yeah, there's definitely craft beer nerds. My a good friend of mine, his uncle is or I guess brother-in-law. I think it's a brother-in-law. He basically runs a lot of import stuff for a huge segment of Canada for one company, and he put together a craft beer advent calendar for the last 8 years. And I've seen it in stores. I've seen it so many times. Didn't realize that it was his baby. He started it and he does it every year. But it's like $189 because it's 24 individual beers from all over the world that they import in and put into these cases and send Canada wide. I really want one of those, but I $180 seems to be a little bit much for me.
Yeah,
for something I'm gonna drink and then express in a different form within a few hours.
There you go. And Mickery just became a supporter. Thank you very much, Mickery. All right, this is the end of the show for real this time. We're not even joking.
Awesome.
Goodbye, everybody.
Later, everybody.